Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Rimac Concept S in multiplayer. Now, I won this car a few days ago. Go check out my video of me winning it if you have not yet. It was very close. So my rank is 1684, the same as my Apollo, and my tuning is 05055055. At this rank, this car can reach a speed of 300 miles per hour, which is not especially great, but isn't too shabby either. Its acceleration is average, I guess. It starts up a little bit slower than the Apollo and X2 around this rank. However, you may be thinking, well, that one ahead of you sure started up extremely quickly, like an MP425. Well, he is a completely pro'd out one. Yes, I, in my 1684 Rimac, somehow am facing an 1816 fully pro'd out X2. That is 132 ranks above me. Yeah, I'm thankful that does not happen very often, but as we will see, that rank difference and the speed difference of 17 miles per hour is not always a guaranteed win in the faster car's favor. So here he goes up the ramp, I believe, to try to make the shortcut, but then lands too early, at least that's what it looked like, and he hit the wall, thus putting him behind me. I wish this was a one-lap race, however, it was not. As you can see here, he is definitely faster than me, and so he is catching up again. However, the X2 does also have pretty bad nitro efficiency. I believe there he runs out and has to drift, thus causing him to fall behind and allowing me to get ahead. And he has some kind of problem there too. I'm not exactly sure what it was. So this just goes to show that even if you are in a slower and lower ranked car, much lower ranked in this case, you are not guaranteed to lose. He is coming up behind me here again, but the finish line is fairly close, and so he does not actually have time to be able to catch up. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I think he goes up the ramp again and dies again, thus allowing me to pull out the victory. So let's see what all we beat. There was this 1816 X2 driven by Sarav D. Maybe Sarav Das, if you're watching this. I'm glad that I was able to race you. And we beat also two Apollo Intensa Emotions that were higher ranked. Now for a race on Area 51 against two X2s, an Aventador, as well as a purple team member in his Kawasaki Ninja H2R. Zaki D, I believe his name is. I actually met him in quite a few races throughout this video. So yeah, you will be able to see how somebody who drives the Ninja quite a lot in multiplayer does against other cars, because it is one of his main multiplayer vehicles. The Rimac has fairly good nitro efficiency, definitely better than average, and it is definitely better than the X2. So the main problem I have with the X2, besides the glitching and wrecking and skidding and jumping and all of that, is the fact that its nitro efficiency is only average, maybe, thus making it nearly impossible to run single tank in that car and still compete well with those running extra tank, because they have a big advantage at that point. Oh, and for anyone wondering, I am not going to switch to using the X2 in multiplayer because the Emotion is still better at a multiplayer tune around this rank. I'll probably do some tests on different tracks between my X2 and Emotion, but I'm pretty sure I already know who will win on the majority of them. So here we lost to this 1679 X2, same rank as me, but we beat this Aventador, the Ninja, as well as another X2 at 1672. Pretty good. Okay, so this is a race against the Ninja, as well as RPM Freeze in his Sin R1. Somehow, I managed to run up against quite a few Purple Team members when I was driving the Rimac, including Freeze and Zaki D in his Ninja, as well as Purple Ches, I believe, in a later race. Also possibly Sarav Das if he was the one driving that X2 I beat in the first race. So this is kind of weird. Freeze tries to pass me in his Sin R1, and then he wrecks. He told me later that he skidded on something, which is so extremely rare in the Sin R1. Not once in all my testing with that car have I skidded. So I have no idea how that happened. If you're watching this, Freeze, sorry about that. So I take the shortcut, whereas the Ninja and Apollo do not, and thus I am just behind them, very close to the finish line, almost past the Apollo, but not quite, thus coming in third, but just like frames behind the first and second place people. Apollo was 1717, Ninja 1673, driven by Zaki D. And you can see here that when the Ninja is tamed, it can definitely do quite well in multiplayer. My Ninja is currently at a rank of 1699. I upgraded a bit for that horrible Iceland Bikes Only Cup. So if you guys would like to see me test it yet again, I may do that to see how it does against the X2 and the Apollo around this rank, thus being higher. Because I know Dr. Hillusion made a video of the Homage at 1699, and I don't remember him getting bad matchmaking as I might think a car would at that rank. So yeah, I'll probably take my 1699 Ninja out in multiplayer. I don't know if I'm gonna really test it or not. We'll have to see about that. But yeah, I'm gonna see if the matchmaking is bad or not. Now the thing is, this is free race. It's off-season. Off-season has now lasted for an entire week, which is beyond crazy because it usually only lasts for 3 days. So yeah, that may be one reason matchmaking is better, because when free racing, even though you are not risking points, it seems to be better matchmaking than when you are just saving points every race when you're ticket racing. So yeah, I hope the season starts so that I can more properly test some cars. Now, during off-season, since off-season is lasting so long, a lot of people are still taking out their OP cars into multiplayer with double and triple boost and stuff, and that is why multiplayer, at least around this rank, still seems to be fairly populated with good competition, and that is why I was in fact able to make a fairly good X2 video and Rimac video with good competition. So throughout the rest of this race, I have a pretty close battle with this Ninja behind me, the same one that has been in the previous races, because the Ninja without supercharge is approximately 3 or 4 or something miles per hour faster than this car at this rank. And with supercharge, it's like 20 miles per hour faster. No joke, it goes 321 miles per hour, at least with my tuning at the rank of 1677. Now, of course, I don't know what his tuning is, but I believe it is somewhere fairly close to that. I didn't take that last turn too well, thus allowing him to catch up, but thankfully I was able to take the final 2 ones well and come into second place, no first. The number 1 guy wrecked right before the finish line. And I'm not exactly sure why or what on, but yeah, that allowed me to pull out the victory, beating that 1673 Ninja, a 1671 Apollo, and a 1679 2018 McLaren X2. Yeah, not bad for a car that everybody thought was completely useless, and while, yeah, it's inferior to the X2 and the Apollo and the other OP cars at this rank, it's not 100% useless in multiplayer, as you can see. When I have not pulled out wins against these more overpowered cars, I am usually fairly close. One problem I see when people just look at results of races and screenshots and just place things and stuff, they tend to not look at, like, the timings. Like, for example, on that race in Panama Showdown, I think it was, Highland View, no, that's what it was, I came in 3rd, but I was just a few frames behind both the 2nd and 1st place guy, and everybody who just looks at the result would be like, oh, you came in 3rd, you must have did horrible. No, not really. So definitely try to pay attention to the times when people post screenshots of races and stuff, because it gives you a more accurate view on how they really did. Alright, so in this race we have come in 3rd, behind that Ninja and an X2, but ahead of also 2 X2s, 1679 and 1659. Okay, now for an interesting race on Barcelona, in which we are facing 2 Apollo Intensa Emotions as well as 2 McLaren X2s. So now I'd just like to give my thoughts on why Gameloft decided to add the X2 just one update after releasing the IE. Because the Vulcan lasted over a year as king of the game, and the Apollo really only after like 2 months, it got dethroned by the X2. Now, you gotta think about this. When I say dethroned, I mean that when both cars are at Max Pro, well, the X2 only at Pro really, because it has no Max upgrades. Well, anyway, when both cars are completely upgraded, the X2 can beat the Apollo on every single track. But again, you have to realize it is not by all that much, and you also have to take into account the fact that the X2 has poor nitro efficiency, and it has skids and glitches, and so when both cars are at Max Pro in multiplayer, it might actually be a bit of a harder time pulling out wins in the X2. And when both multiplayer tuned around 1680 or so, the X2 is a full 6 or 7 miles per hour slower than the Apollo, so the Apollo is definitely still king here. As you can see, the 1687 one, with no extra tank, beat 2 triple boosted X2s. I beat one of them as well. So I just say all this to tell you guys that if anyone is upset that the Apollo has been, quote, dethroned just a month after its release, it really has not been. The only place the X2 is minutely better than the Apollo is at fully pro'd out. And so few people are actually going to be able to do that because it requires 64 CREs to fully pro out. So here's something a bit irritating happens. I go up that ramp and the X2 flies by me, touching me in the air, and thus knocks me down, putting me back into 5th position. However, not all hope is lost, as you will see. It is never really a good idea to quit a race because you get knocked down near the beginning, because there's a pretty good chance that you will be able to catch up. Maybe some people make mistakes, like those 2 cars that are behind me now. They both made mistakes, and thus I'm ahead of them. Now, the one right behind me is an Apollo. As you can see, he is quite a bit faster than me. Extremely surprised he did not knock me down there. I believe that is the same one that knocked me down at the ramp. There he ran out of nitro and had to wag, and so he goes up the ramp about the same speed as me. Thankfully, though, I'm able to get around these final turns faster than him, and he wrecked as well, thus allowing me to come in 3rd. So the 2 cars that beat us were that Ninja, again showing the Ninja power, as well as Freeze in his Rimac Concept, but we beat the Emozione and an X2, whom I believe disconnected. Alright, so now we are in the final race of the video against 2 X2s, as well as Zaki D in his Ninja again. So in this race, I will prove to you that the cave route is indeed quite a bit faster than the route to the right. Now I know the cave route can be riskier than going to the right, so I would not recommend going in it with a car that is prone to random skids and glitches, like perhaps the X2. And so they're smart and take the other route. However, if you're in a stable car, like the Rimac for example, this car is extremely stable, and the Sin R1, when it doesn't randomly skid for no reason, which it usually doesn't, still kind of confused about that. Yeah, the cave is almost always, if you're in a very stable car, the best way to go. As you can see, I have now gone ahead of these cars that took the other way. I know one of them wrecked, but one of them didn't as well. Thankfully, this is a 1-lap race, so they will have no time to catch up, and thus I will be able to pull out the victory. So is this car worth it? It's kind of hard to say. If you didn't win it in its R&D, don't worry about it too much, because it's not especially great of a car, but if you did win it, don't feel too bad either that you spent so much time on it, because it's not terrible either. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!